Hello once again. Here we are the second time this year. We would like to welcome you with our meeting, our webinarium. My name is Tomek and this is my colleague Marcin. And today we would like to tell you some basic information about our solution for the direct petrol injection. I mean Stag 400 DPI.
Yes.
As
this
you know,
yes.
From our, second webinarium,
yeah,
when we were talking about the controllers. Just short information: Stag 400 DPI for 4 cylinders, 6 and 8. So we have the solution for
the most engines, yes, in the market.
Right, so today's, as I told you, some basic information about our system. We would like to present you how the direct petrol injection works in cars, with engines with the direct petrol injection, main difference between direct petrol injection and indirect sequential injection. And then we would like to move to our software to present you how to adjust the system, how to prepare the settings for the specific engine, how to make the calibration, and we will see, depend on the time, because we would like to divide our webinarium for 2 parts about direct petrol injection, because it's rather more complicated system according to the
exactly.
Indirect
So let's follow the explanation. What does it mean more complicated, yes? And what's the reason of this? So we'll follow the graph and show you something here.
Right.
On this table. So briefly, the main difference between MPI and DPI engines is a way of delivering the fuel. Of course, the petrol spray goes direct to the cylinder, so the pressure is higher, it needs to be higher, and because of this high pressure in the rail, because of the high pressure in the injectors, the way of the steering of the injectors and the control of the injectors by the Petrol ECU is different comparing to the MPI engines. The main difficult to do is to connect it properly. If in process during conversion of the MPI engines, there is no such issues with the connections. But related to DPI engines, we can build up the problems, and the reasons are mainly if we mix the channels during the connections. It means the mixed signal and mixed the power supply. We are occurring many problems with working system. Yes, the system is not reading properly petrol timings. It's making some jerks or just totally not working system. Yes. So what is the explanation of this? So in the Petrol ECU, because of high voltage we have, and in the car, passenger car, normally it's 12 volts, but the petrol injectors are supplied in DPI engines by the higher voltage. So inside the Petrol ECU there is a kind of inverters, yes, and these inverters they are converting voltage from 12 volts to 60 or 80 or even sometimes 100 volts. And these inverters, I think it's like a 90% of the cars are similar constructed Petrol ECU, when one single inverter is delivering this high voltage to 2 separate injectors. It means that the one output of the inverter is connected with injector number 1, and the second output is connected with inverter number 4, and they are working like in the pairs.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing very important is that we are showing you the solution for 4 cylinders, right?
Yes,
because in 6 and 8 there will be
most common solution. That's why we are talking about
6-8 will be a little bit different when we are talking about the pairs.
And because of these 2 inverters are supplying the injectors working in the pairs, we are meeting some strange signals. What does mean strange word is in this situation? Because of situation when we are connecting the Stag 400 DPI to this wire. This wire is a power supply wire. Red wire in this scheme is a signal wire.
Right.
So of course, on the first stage, what we can make wrong is that we can connect the wrong wire. And in the proper wire, as you see, the red signal looks like this. It's if you, of course, you need to have an oscilloscope tool
right.
to measure it. The signals. Without the oscilloscope tool, if there is like a new montage, first montage of a new car is not existing on the support list, because if, of course, the system you are installing in the car, when there is a official support in the on website, we will show you the information where it's exactly on the website or in the application. It's included in the AC Stag application that you can download it from the website, of course. So if the engine is not in the official list, you can follow these rules. It means that you can easily, of course, get handle which one injector is second, third, and fourth. And then, of course, you can use a simple multimeter to check which injectors are paired.
Right.
Just simplify it. Also, you can find it in manual. And because of this reason, because of this type of the power supply and the untypical signal comparing to the port injection engines, so this is kind of a steering like a pick and hold meaning. Yes, when there is a high control related to the opening time of the petrol injector to figure out as much as possible precision petrol dosage. Yes, and because of these signals is related to this high voltage, we have also the noise in the system. Right. That's why the gas ECU is designed to ignore some of this noise in the signal because of high voltage. So if you switch the connections, the problem will be arriving because of the reason of algorithm inside the ECU. If we connect it properly, the Stag 400 will diagnose these noises and will automatically just make a filter on it.
Right. This is very, very important information because, as you know, according to the indirect sequential engines and connection, even if you change the order of the connection, you can easily change it also in the software. In the direct petrol injection, when you are connecting the Stag 400 DPI, the very important thing that Marcin said is the order. It's very important to connect first to our first emulation cable, second to second, third to third, and fourth to fourth. We cannot mix it. We cannot mix the connections.
And the main reason is because of relation of the connection of these high voltage inverters inside the ECU. And of course, because of this high voltage is existing in the steering signal, you cannot use a typical gas ECU. This high voltage can be, as you've seen on the graph, this voltage, if we have here 0 volts, it can be also close to 120 volts. So this high voltage existing here, ECU is specially prepared. That's why we cannot use, because sometimes we are meeting some questions related to that, why we cannot use a typical ECU for DPI, why it's not working. Yes, what's the reason? Of course, reason is the high voltage. Reason is that the signal is totally different comparing to the typical MPI engines. We can even burn the gas ECU. We can even burn the petrol ECU if we will connect typical MPI gas ECU. That is the reason. Yes, the high voltage, the untypical signal, and also if we're comparing to the MPI engines, the power supply for the injectors is just it is just the 12 volts. Yes, but here because of as you see, red steering signal and the power supply signal is from this moment it's a PWM signal, so it also occurs the noises, and this voltage can be also 60 volts. That's why typical strategy of the MPI ECU. It's not ready to handle these signals. Yes, that's the main reason that's why we cannot connect it and use it. What is also second main difference, of course, related to MPI, that we need to connect the ECU to the fuel pressure sensor, because the petrol dosage in DPI engines is related to the opening time and also the fuel pressure. And the fuel pressure is very variable. It means that on the idle, the fuel pressure can be on level like 30 bars, 40 bars, in new cars 100 bars. And then during the load is existing in engine, yes, the RPM is rising, press the throttle, accelerating. So during changing the load of an engine, this pressure can rise up even to 200, 250, and the new cars close to 300 bars.
Right.
So the petrol dosage is related to the fuel pressure very highly, and also opening time is important. So typical ECU cannot, MPI ECU will just not properly checked what's the petrol dosage and what should be the gas opening dosage, because it's not possible, because there is no way to measure properly the petrol dosage. Yes, what we are bringing on like the most important thing for calibrate the system. Yes, we need to have information what's the proper gas dosage and what's the proper petrol dosage. Yes, of course, to measure it, to calculate the gas dosage. And the next steps, it's to inform you that the information, it's not only information, it's an emulation. What does it mean? It means that we need to make a cut of the signal. Yes, this signal goes to Petrol ECU from the fuel pressure sensor. We need to emulate it. It means that we need to cut it, then connect two wires from Stag ECU. One will be information for Stag 400, and the output is going to the Petrol ECU to emulate the signal. In common engines, it's necessary to reduce the real petrol pressure during drive and gas, to prevent check lights, to prevent jerks, and to prevent, of course, high petrol consumption. So that's why we needed to emulate the signal of the pressure in the rail.
Yes, that.
And Thomas wants to show you
right.
The official graph. So
right.
let's present
in our software.
screen.
In our software, you have access to the manuals, to the diagram of wiring diagram, electrical diagram of connection of 400 DPI, and those two basic and very important information that Marcin said about the emulation of petrol injectors and emulation of the fuel pressure sensor, you can check in our wiring diagram. As you can see on the left side, you have information how to emulate the petrol injectors, and also how to check which injector is working with another injector in pair. And on the left side, how to remove? Okay, and on the right side here you have information how to emulate the petrol fuel pressure sensor. With these two cables in our solution is the green and the yellow cable, and the very important thing is not to mix also the emulated wires, right? So the green goes to the Petrol ECU and the yellow goes to the petrol
So
sensor.
I think later we will back for this information, right, just for a few seconds. Then now I think we can switch to the application and follow the steps, like if we have a car to convert, what we should do. We should to know some informations. If it's, of course, on the official list. If it's not, we are not sure how to find out how to be sure that we can convert this car using Stag 400. So let's switch now. We will sit down and then we'll show you the application and step by step follow the rules.
Right. Okay. the first thing that you need to check is if you have the car
support,
on the,
yes, the car is supported or is not supported, because it's like a first step. What we're gonna do, we can do it like open the website, or we can do it just if you have an application. We can go to documentation of the Stag 400. Yes, everything is there.
Right. When you go to the documentation and then you check the folder with Stag 400 DPI, and just inside the folder, when you follow the
language, yes.
the languages, you can check.
And let's explain it. What does it mean? Yes, these languages and the shortcuts. Yes, just briefly. So we have it in CN, yes, in China.
Yes.
Yes,
English.
The EN, of course, English.
Spanish version, French, Italian, Polish, Portugal, and Russian.
Yes.
And Russian, right. So we can go to the English language, and then here you have
appendix. Yes.
Appendix.
And there is a most important. There is a list. Yes, here.
Yes, on the bottom of the page, when you go to the table of appendix, here you have the information about engines, especially the engine codes.
Exactly.
That our controller supports that specific engine code.
Exactly.
Right, and so if you have car in the workshop or you have documentation of the car, the very important thing.
The question is how to find out. For an example, in Volkswagen Group, yes, because it's the common questions. So how to find out the engine code, because of course the car is driving is visiting the workshop. It's not the engine code is visiting, it's the car. Yes.
Right.
So we need to show, we need to
check
yes, explain you. So in case of like a Volkswagen list, here we have what to do. The main information is related to Volkswagen is on the cover of the timing belt or timing or chain. Yes. Cover, then you can find out the white label, and on the white label there is information like an engine code. Or the second place when you can find it is in the baggage room. If you open the baggage room, remove the cover
the spare wheel, right?
Yes, and there is a spare wheel on the place for the spare wheel. You can find out also on the body there is a white label. On this white label you can find it also the engine code, and there is information engine code, yes, and there is a 3 or 4 letters like you have on the screen. Yes,
right.
now
according to the Volkswagen Group, because
yes.
on the other brands.
Exactly. If you don't know the code of, for an example, Ford or PSA or Mazda Group, yes, when it's very hard to find out what is the engine code, so you need to have information, the main information related to the engine, like horsepower, yes, what is the horsepower, what is the torque, engine, car, production, yes.
The production,
and
very important,
if
right?
still you are not sure to this data, you can find out the Petrol ECU, yes, and on the Petrol ECU also there is a very important information. There is a label with ID. Make a photo of this, or just make a call and inform the technical support if you are not sure. So of course you can use email, you can use other way of the communication. So just ask, because this is like a first step, but sometimes it's not so easy, yes, to find out this. That's why we still have the channels, the communication with you, to convince you, convince us related the information about what kind of engine it is, what kind of engine code it is, and then we can help you if you are not able to find out the engine with this list.
Yes, and if we already found that the car that will arrive or the car that is in our workshop, we can convert. So for the 400 DPI, there is we prepared manuals how to connect the system. Just only example to show you one of the manuals. In the manual, you have the information about the place where to drill the
step-by-step information.
Yes, that's right.
Related to manifold, to the diameter of the nozzles, yes, on the localizations of the pressure sensor, some suggestions related to of course, injector. And then most important thing, what we draw on the board is the wiring, yes, for such of engine. And you need to follow this in kind of, every engine has, even there is a similar engines, we need to follow the pinout, yes. Sometimes the colors of the pins, of the wires, yes, can be different. And in this case, you just need to be, verify the pinout and hold on the pinouts, yes. If there is a different color in wire harness.
Yes, right. And the pinout that we have in our manual is of course the pinout of the Petrol ECU, right?
Exactly.
How to connect, and you have all information how to connect the petrol injectors, how to connect the fuel pressure sensor, how to connect the signal for the RPM, and also there is the photo.
The layout,
yes,
the layout of the socket of the Petrol ECU to get handle easily which pin it is A40, as you see on the screen now. For an example, yes.
This is the example.
And then if you are verified the engine, if you are installing, because comparing the system installation, the connections, electrical connections are very similar, yes, just additional pressure sensor. The installation of the injectors comparing to the DPI engines is very similar also. So from the point of installation, the step-by-step rules are very similar to MPI. And only the main difference is that you need to be strictly pinout connected. Everything is connected to the manual, yes? You cannot follow by your own decisions related to treat or yellow. No, it's not. It will not work, yes? If you not follow the rules related to yellow wire from Stag 400, it means first cylinder needs to be connected to the first cylinder, and second and third and fourth, yes, and 5, 6, depends on engine.
And according to the connections, Marcin, maybe we can also tell, because we are here in that that part of the connections, tell some information, some advices about our connection. What situation we can have if we make the wrong connection? What problem can occur in the software? What you can see in the software?
This is the
how the work is.
After installation, yes, you are sure that the pinouts, everything is okay. Sure, but sometimes we can meeting after connections, so just we need to show you the application and what the errors after mixing is arriving, yes, what kind of error it is.
Right. No, the first thing, we can make three wrong connections.
Yeah.
Yes, because what we can do, we can switch the emulation, change the emulation cables, right? For example, if you have connection with the yellow cables, yellow and gray
pairs,
yellow,
yes,
is the
pairs of the wire.
Of the pairs of the wire, the first thing. So we can.
This is the common error, yes. When doing the connection, you are connecting to the wrong side of the injector, yes. It means that there is a rule what we are using, but you are using the rule. It sounds in Polish WC, yes.
WC.
You know the WC because. But it's not translated simply in English. But you can follow the rules like in your mind that the full wire, full. It means that the full color goes to injector.
Right.
Full injectors and connect. I don't know. Just find the connections. Full injector. It means the side of the connection that the wire goes to injector is the full color.
Right.
And then you have another wire goes to Petrol ECU. That's the rule.
Yes, this is the rule, the main rule. If you switch the cables, if you connect the cable without stripe, so the solid cable goes to the ECU, and the gray, yellow in this example will goes to the petrol injector, system will will not work properly.
Sometimes, if in some engines, if you just mix all the 4 wires, the problem will be that there will be no cutting petrol during system will switch on the gas, yes, and there will be no side effect just the main effect will be that both fuels will be used in the same time, yes, if you switch all the 4 wires. So this is like a factor that you can not easily handle it and see it, the end effect. Just after a few whiles during driving, you will occur that the gas dosage is very low, and the corrections shortening goes minus. It means it's to reach, because both fuels are flowing parallel in the cylinder. Yes.
Right. And the second thing, if you make the wrong connection, you connect the emulated cables, but not to signal right here on that example, but you connect to the plus wire, positive wire.
So
right?
maybe you show the application, yes, and what will happen with the petrol timings.
Right.
So see the petrol timings on the right, yes. So if after conversion you will see the blinking yellow area here, or you will see that the petrol one cylinder, for an example, is going like now we have 0.9, yes,
right,
and then second will be 0.5 or 0.4. It means that probably we mix the connections.
Right.
We emulate the
wrong cable.
Yes, it is not the signal. It's 99% is the voltage. Yes, it means that the power supply is emulated, and one is signal, one is power source of the injector, and then you can find out that the petrol timings will be different comparing to the other injectors. Yes, one is. Right. So it means that it's mixed. This is the main effect of mixing the wires. Another effect is that you will see blinking yellow area here. Yes, all of this area what I am showing you now will be blinking yellow. All, even there can be a like a constant yellow area here. Also, there is we can suspect that we mixed the wires.
Yes, because in general, information we are talking about the software, the yellow field, you can say the yellow field here, is the information that our controller, the Stag controller, detect the extra injection, right? The extra injection. Normally, when the engine is in when you start the engine and the engine is cold, yes, during the rising,
the heating, the catalyst system.
Right. Here on the idle, you can have the yellow field. Yes,
but
because
but just only in cold conditions.
Right, the cold condition.
Cold condition, and engine is also cold. Then you can find out also on idle when there is a blinking field. Yes, on the yellow, but it's just to 30 to 40 degrees of the coolant of the engine. Yes.
Right. So when the engine is warm, it is stabilized right now, and you should have the situation just like this: normal injection time. And there is no difference between cylinders. That means you make
everything is okay. Then we can follow the calibration. First step is auto calibration. Yes. But briefly, the main information is that step by step, the rules of the configuration of the system is very similar to QBox system or the QMax system. I'm talking about you're choosing the engine type, you are choosing the source of the RPM, and the source of the RPM is chosen automatically during in some engine codes. It's related with engine code.
Right, because in manual
there's and then if you start auto calibration, the system is sometimes switching on, even if you choose coil, but there is a demand on a camshaft signal, it will switch on automatically to the camshaft signal. And follow the next steps, because now is 30 minutes, but we can extend it.
Yes, we can. Sure, of course.
And then what we should do, if the petrol timings is okay, it is stable, of course other parameters like the petrol pressure, yes, because the second issue, common issue, is that also the petrol pressure is not properly connected. Sometimes the problem is that this wire is not connected to the petrol pressure, but it's for the power supply for the sensor, or it's connected to the temperature of the pressure of the fuel. because we are meeting some solutions like the sensor is not only the pressure but also the temperature of the fuel, yes, in one body. Then we got 4 wires, and sometimes it's happening that we are connected to the wrong wire, and here the voltage, what you see, Petrol real and Petrol PCM, is around 2 volts or 4 volts or 5 volts. It's mean wrong, because usually we should have here from 0.8 to 1.4, 1.5, if this is like a maximum value. For new cars, like 2019 and 2020, sometimes this voltage is close to 2 volts, yes, right. 2.1, 2.2, but nothing. There is nothing like 4 volts or 0 or 0.1 or 4 right. or 3. Yes, these values are wrong. It means that we are not properly connected.
Right. This is very important information, because sometimes you are trying to do auto calibration, but the signals from the petrol pressure, fuel pressure sensor is
because these two signals, petrol signals and the petrol pressure signals, there is no way to work without these two informations. Yes, if they are improper, system will not work. There is no way.
Yes, of course, the information here, the petrol real is the pressure from the fuel pressure sensor, and the petrol PCM.
It's
right?
emulated pressure sent it to the ECU,
right.
to the Petrol ECU from Stag 400. If we want to talk about the very important thing of the basic knowledge, yes. So after conversion, if this is okay and this is okay, we just need to choose injectors, typical as in Qbox or Qmax. Yes, we have a list of injectors, so we can follow the injectors which is mounted in the car. And reducer temperature, of course, should be chosen the proper one. And for the base steps, we can also check if OBD reader is connected, everything is connected properly. So we can open the window with the OBD reader. Here we have it. If it's connected properly, we should read the petrol data here, yes?
Right.
Okay, and if it's okay, we can follow the auto calibration, and this is the moment when it's crucial if everything is connected properly. After pressing the start, yes, we are choosing engine code.
Right, and this is the information when we just started today. Marcin tried to explain to you how to figure out which cable is the cable of the signal cable, so it's negative cable of the petrol injector, which one is the positive side, the plus, because as you can see, if you want to choose the engine code, there is a list of the engine codes that appears in our manuals, in our appendix.
Exactly.
But one of the engine codes is called VAC group, 4-cylinder, higher than 1.6 liters and lower than 2012. So if you have the car that is in this group of the engines, in our manuals there will be no
exactly if the engine is out of the list, but is related with Volkswagen Audi group, 4-cylinder, yes, 1.6 engine or more, you can use this VAC group to calibrate the engine. But of course, you need to be sure about the connections. That's the rule.
Right. So if you have you've chosen one of the engines, for example, you have the 1.8 engine from Volkswagen
CDA,
Group.
Yes, just an example. So we can start the calibration and see what's happening. It's the belt of the progress is going on. And there is information like we have a process in progress, reducer temperature, and the RPM. Yes, and then if everything is okay, system is calculating the proper petrol dosage. If it's right, then it's calculating the petrol pressure, and step by step, it will follow to calculate the gas dosage. Yes, right. So we'll start running the first gas injector. Just we need to wait a little bit because, as you see, now it's happening on the screen. System will turn it on the first injector and to calculate the multiplier value.
Right, right. So
the belt is coming on, everything is right. The fourth cylinder is switch on the gas. Second, third, all gas injectors now is working. It means that everything goes okay, and follow the petrol timings related to gas timings. Yes, sometimes if we mix the wires, also the gas flow, it means that the opening time is very short.
Yes, that's right.
Sometimes it's 1 millisecond. It means if we are using injectors when the minimum opening timings is 1.4 or 8 or 2 milliseconds, and here you will see 1 millisecond, and engine is running, it means that we mix something.
Right.
Also in connections, because it's not possible when 1 millisecond timings here, it means that the injector is not opening, engine is running, and still there is an issue on the system because it shouldn't run. Yes, it shouldn't run properly. It can be dizzy. Yes, the idle should be unstable. But if it's running okay, it means that we mix the wires.
And very important information, because you also asked when we make some trainings in the workshops. Sometimes the persons, the technical guys that are working with the direct petrol injection is asking us, okay, if everything is okay, if I have the injection time 0.8, 0.9, because in the sequential engines we have 2.4 milliseconds, 2.5 milliseconds, and we are thinking that there is a problem. But there is no problem, okay, if you have 0.8, because
yes.
Typical, because as you can see, here we have information about the injection dose. It's not the 100% real injection time. Yes,
it's calculated.
Yes, it's calculated according to the petrol pressure. So if you will have 0.8, 0.9, 1 millisecond, everything is okay. The very important thing is to have the injection time after auto calibration, gas injection time.
Normally, it should be from higher than 2 milliseconds. Yeah?
That's right.
It means that everything in the process of the conversion was fine. Yes, there was no errors and all.
So
sometimes, of course, there can be a reason of undrilled nozzles in the on the improper chosen diameter of the nozzles in the injectors. That's why you can find it in manual. Yes,
that's
this
why
information.
Yes, and that's why, for example, in our manuals, you can find out information that injectors that you should use are our injectors. ACW02 or 03. Why? Because those injectors are very fast injector.
Yes,
right?
this is important. So, yes, that they can follow the strategy of the Petrol ECU, because the GDI engines, yes, DPI, GDI or DPI. Let's explain it, because sometimes I'm mixing this GDI or DPI. It's the same. Yes, the meaning is the same. GDI is gasoline. Direct injection, yes. Right. DPI is direct petrol injection. So
yes, all the brands can name
exactly.
their solutions
just the naming,
with a different
naming.
But all we are talking about the direct petrol injection.
And I lost the topic.
No, we are talking about to find
injectors.
Out
okay, and the strategy of the GDI engines related to the petrol strategy, yes, ECU, it requires the fast injectors. So you cannot use like a slow injectors. What does it mean slow? We refer many times this slow. It means that opening and closing times should be as short as possible. It means that like W03 injectors, when you have opening times like 2 or 1.9 milliseconds. Yes, this is very important to not use Valtec or worse injectors when the opening is 2 or 3 milliseconds. In some conditions, these injectors we not handle, and we can stop the engine. There will be jerks or other issues. Yes, you can meet. That's why we also want to use fast and good stable injectors. Use W02 or W03 injectors. Then we can guarantee that the engine will work properly.
Yes, and the first thing that you can see when we are talking about the adjusting, because we are running out of time, so
okay, so just follow the after calibration, what you need to do, you need to just check if you have the proper corrections, like in Qbox, like in Qmax, yes, and the gas dosage, you can regulate it using 1D map and using similar like Qbox platform, go fast, and just only the value you can see here is 200, 250, 300, yes, because it's a calculation related to the petrol pressure, yes, that's why the value is a little bit different.
Right, and information for the people, the technical guys that just want to start it with the direct petrol injection and they have some experience with indirect or sequential, as you can see, there are no green and blue lines. So if you want to properly set the direct petrol injection on Stag 400 DPI, you need to use OBD reader. You need to know what is the short trim, what is the long trim, how to adjust system, how to make settings according to the OBD parameters. It is not possible to adjust the 400 DPI as you maybe tried with the sequential to get the
OBD
lines,
connection
right?
is crucial. It's like a crucial thing in relation to the conversion. During conversion, you need to connect OBD wires to OBD sockets. Without this, you cannot properly set the gas dosage, and that's crucial. There's nothing to say about this.
Right, right, and the settings, when you have all the parameters fine, everything is working fine, settings are similar with the sequential. So if you want to make some changes, you can put mark one of the dot
and then move up or move down, like in Qmax and Qbox.
Right, so if you have the corrections, for example, right here, 10 positive, that means you need to move the multiplier just a little bit higher to get the
proper gas dosage.
That's right.
And for the beginning, yes, for the basic knowledge, the next steps will follow some more complicated systems, some more explanation. At this stage, I think we share with you the most common information on the basic steps.
Right.
If you want to ask us some more questions, please do not hesitate to use the channels that we are talking about usually. Yes, means that you can use Facebook, you can use email or YouTube channel easily. And of course, all questions will be read by us, and then we can follow the answers.
Yes, and next time we will tell you more about the settings, because as you can see, there are some petrol injection readings, there is a different map, just like reduced pressure map. So we would like to tell you more information next time.
On the second stage of this training for you. So it was very nice to have time with you today, and we want to have you on the next stage. That's why we are leaving something for you, some extras.
Right. Share your opinion. Just ask us, and we will.
So thank you again, and see you on the next webinar.
Thank you very much.
Bye.